Hello guys, welcome to Open Eyes. Today we have Jasmine, Halford, Molinaro. I know it's a long name. And today we will be talking about climate change. So, addressing the big question here. Do you believe climate change exists?
Of course, oh my god. I don't know how. Okay, the real question should be, do you believe that the facts are true? Or are you just blatantly ignoring the truth? Yeah, I don't see how you can't believe it, because it's not really something you believe, it's something
it's like saying gravity does not exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the climate change deniers are denying fact, but, so yes, obviously.
Yeah, so the argument that they put forward, the climate change deniers put forward, is that, historically the Earth has heated up to a certain point, and that means after which an ice age occurs, right? Now, and they're saying it's just happening the fastest, but, so what are your opinions on that?
Well, you've seen those graphs that are like, this is all the CO2 emissions that goes, like, it goes up and down, yes, up and down, and is like between earth edges and warms up again. But once the Industrial Revolution hit, it got to the highest peak that it had been before, and then went up even further. So it's not the natural process, which does occur, it does go up and down, but not to this extent that we're seeing now. And we're not going to have an ice age. We're heating up, and an ice age would be just as detrimental to our humanity. So don't think that's the right answer either.
Yeah, even if you are providing the argument that the ice age will happen, if we go at this continual rate, it's still a good thing. Like, most people will freeze to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the evidence against the fact that climate change does not exist is unsurmountably high. Like, 97.1% of scientists believe that 97.1% not believe. They agree with the fact that climate change is happening. And do you think that people who deny it are being ignorant towards the actual facts?
Yes, but also you said 97.1%. There is another 2.9% there that have studies that show that it doesn't exist. And if you are already a climate change denier, they're the statistics, they're the studies that you're going to look at.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that there's a vast majority that prove that it exists. The fact that there are still some that say it doesn't mean that the climate change deniers can say that here's a study that proves our point, even though it's just such a tiny insignificant amount, but it exists. And the problem is, if you search like climate change doesn't exist, you're going to get a whole lot of articles proving that climate change doesn't exist. So you're never going to change your attitude if that's what you already believe. It's very hard to change, and it's very hard to combat that if there are also scientists that do have credentials that say it doesn't exist, even if they are 1 in 1,000 or even less than that. So I think the problem is that whenever we have this discussion, you have two people side by side, the one that says it exists and one that says it doesn't. And that shows 50%
that's
argument. Whereas it should be, have a room full of 100 people, have 97 of them say it exists, and 3 try and argue against that. So whenever we have this argument, it's never an accurate representation of how what scientists believe.
I absolutely get that. And there's this actual a really good video by John Oliver where he actually brings 97 scientists in and against 3 scientists, and he just goes like, it's statistically impossible. The fact that this 2.9% is blown up to 50%, I like to call this the flat Earth phenomena, because again, it's fact that the Earth is round, but there would still be like 5 people out of 100 believing that no.
5 out of 100. 5 out of 1 million, I should hope.
Yeah, hopefully, like 60% of America believes evolution does not exist, so well assumed. And they just believe this hard line of absolutely fake facts and fake statistics.
But even if you take evolution, they have something else to believe. Like, I understand that religion has a counter claim to that, so there is like a spiritual element to that, so that makes more sense in my mind to not believe evolution if you have like a different creationist perspective on it. Whereas with climate change, there is that's not there. You don't have the God says climate change doesn't exist, therefore it doesn't.
Yeah.
That it's nothing to do with the religious part, so there's not that justification.
I agree with that. Yeah, like, yeah, evolution debate is a bit complicated because it's creationism versus Darwinism, essentially, right? But climate change is more like, oh, it's happening. Is it happening? Is it not?
Yeah, well, it is happening.
It is happening.
Is it happening?
It is
or
definitely
are you
happening.
going to do something about it, or are you going to pretend it doesn't exist so we don't have to do anything about it? Which is something we need to talk to our world leaders about, because currently we're not on the right path. Especially Australia isn't the greatest at pretending.
The fact that Turnbull took out the carbon tax, I think, was a bit of a shock.
Well, yeah, it's.
So
let's go into conspiracies against the government. But, it's a lot to do with like the coal industry and how it's one of our major exports. But even coal companies are moving away from coal. Electricity companies are moving towards renewable
Even
sources.
I think AGL is moving away from coal and going to renewable energy.
And our government still insists on subsidising the coal industry and refuses to give any money to carbon tax or renewable energies. So it is a problem that we see through all levels, from government to the average Joe.
Do you think like a government has a responsibility to introduce legislation which is pro-environment?
Yes. If they don't do anything about it, how are we expected to do something about it? Because it doesn't matter that one person knows to turn their lights off when they're not using it or uses an electric car. One person by themselves isn't going to counteract the pollution of an entire country. And that's what our government's there is. It's their purpose. It's if they implement legislation, then big businesses will follow in their footsteps. Every person in the country will have steps towards a more sustainable future. Whereas just a few people, while they help, can't do that much by themselves against a planet of 7 billion.
And I feel like this is very distorted in the way people will try and prevent climate change because the damage is so much at this point that it cannot be reversed. Physically, it's not possible. But all we can do is curtail or rather lengthen our time on this planet as in the way it is today. And it is really absurd when all these campaigns come out and say, oh, turn off the lights, do this. Yeah, it'll help by like 1%.
Yeah, and if our planet, if the average temperature rises by about 2 degrees, we're screwed.
Yeah.
It's not much. And we're on the path that you can't prevent it at this stage. You can only limit its impact. And we're not in a situation where we can stop climate change.
Yeah.
But we're also not taking as many steps as we could be to
prevent
it.
Yeah.
Especially, and we have all these targets, like by 2050, we'll have like this much reduction in our emissions. But because those plans are so long term, nothing is being done in the present and nothing is being done now. And that's what needs to be done at the immediate level, because it is such an important issue, but it is also very easy to push off towards the future because you can't
see it.
happen. Although, like with Hurricane Harvey, we are seeing greater impacts.
And Hurricane Harvey and now Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, I saw a photo of a Category 5 hurricane from 1992 compared to Hurricane Irma, and it's about twice the size. So we've had to change our categorization because they've gotten so much bigger.
Oh no, there was this. Okay, this is going to sound really absurd, but I think Hurricane Harvey or Irma, I'm not sure which one. It hit Texas or Florida or some state, and literally people were shooting at the hurricane, thinking that it would go away.
Yeah, so ignorance is also a factor we have to address. But there's not much you can counter for plain stupidity.
Yeah, that was honestly so stupid. And the fact of the matter is, if the bullets go into the hurricane, they actually have a chance of coming back.
Yeah.
And that's hurting you. And then again, there was another section of people who put fans on their rooftops to blow away the hurricane the other way.
Well, at least they're trying to stop it.
Yeah, the efforts are futile and rather stupid.
It's kind of in their mindsets to attempt to deal with the hurricane after it occurs. Whereas they wouldn't think to drive electric cars to stop hurricanes happening in the first place.
Yeah, but the electric car debate, I watched this video on YouTube of Admiral's Everything, and he was talking about how actually buying an electric car, when you already have a new car, is actually increasing your carbon footprint.
Yes, because of the production.
Yeah, because of the production, and the battery itself it uses up so much carbon to make. Like, what he essentially said was that if you have to buy a car, buy a small electric car.
Yeah, but don't buy one especially.
Don't buy one just to.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because wasting resources, and we have a limited amount of resources.
Mm.
I don't think many people understand.
Yeah. Like, because I feel like people can't see it on their own, and in some countries it's still snowing, so they're like, oh, it's still snowing, climate change does not exist.
But climate change can also make it cold.
Yeah, we're not saying, that is true, but at this point...
It goes towards the extremes. It is an average increase, and it does also have a worse effect. So like snowstorms would increase.
Yeah.
Those impacts will go towards the extreme, whether it's hot or cold, mainly hot. Well, our ice caps are melting. And the fact that most major cities in the world will be underwater. We can say that fact so many times, and nobody's like, oh no.
it won't happen, no.
Paris is fine. New York's going to be okay. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, no, because countries are already dying.
Yeah.
They're being submerged.
Little Pacific islands that only are 3 meters above sea level anyway, like they have no chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But because they're a little Pacific island, like population of like 11,000, nobody really cares. And that's because it's not happening to you directly. There's that element of distance where it feels like, oh well, I'm safe in my little house with my aircon on.
Yeah. Like, it's like terrorism, right? Yeah, you feel sad about it, that it's happening, but you don't actually feel the actual
It's
effects of it.
reduced statistics. And when it's reduced statistics, you don't really
connect to the issue.
Impact.
Yeah, and like when we say that the global temperature is only increasing by 2 degrees, it's not only increasing by 2 degrees. Understand that we're taking temperatures from the equator, which are like 50 degrees in the summers, and we're taking our temperatures from Antarctica, which is -10 during the summers, or possibly lower. So even if it's a 1 degree increase in the global temperature, that is absolutely huge.
And it's devastating for humanity. There's nothing you can do to say that there will be thousands of species that will be extinct, either by predators moving into their habitats, or by the habitats being destroyed, or by polar bears floating on pieces of ice where their connectivity to the mainland is melted, and you can't, there's nothing you can really do to like eliminate the fact that species don't have that resistance. They don't have the ability to move around like we do. We can fly on a plane to some other country. They can't do that. They've got, they're more vulnerable to it than we are, so we don't think about the impact it has on them, and then what that in return has to us.
Yeah, and I feel like the way people go about this debate, they're separating humans from the actual nature. But the fact of the matter is that humans are part of nature. It's not man versus nature, it's man and nature.
Yeah.
And that makes it seem like the nature is the enemy, but it's really not. If you're just trying to save the habitat that you're living in.
Yeah, and we exploit nature.
I think what we did in the 1900s was not very well thought out. It was very premature as to what we did and how we went about industrialization and harvesting of not harvesting, killing certain species for food and stuff.
Yeah, well, in Australia, the Aborigines lived here for 40,000 possibly more years without destroying the environment, with a sustainable living where they only used what they needed and they reused it. And the principles that we're trying to introduce into our modern lifestyle, they've had since we were cavemen, essentially. But then we turn up and we cut down all the forest and we introduce sheep and foxes and rabbits and we kill all the natural wildlife, and then we build cities and pollute, dig up our ground, and we've basically destroyed the environment in a matter of 200 years, and we don't even acknowledge it.
Like 200 years in the grand scheme of things. Earth has been, just to put it in context, Earth has been existed for 7.8 billion years, and we have done so much damage to it in just 200.
We're like an insignificant speck that's managed to destroy the world. I don't know how we did it, but we did.
So now, obviously, many people do realize that the Earth is screwed beyond all belief, and what they're looking at is for other planets to inhabit and go to other places. Do you think that's a realistic idea?
Not really. I feel like it's better to deal with the problem now and essentially try and limit the impact that we're having rather than make plans to go live on Mars. Because, well, if you can live on Mars, you can live on this planet when we've screwed it over.
Yeah. Do you think humans will learn from their mistakes? Do you think that is likely to happen?
No, we're not very good at that. We try, no. We repeat history's mistakes. What the saying, learn from history or repeat it. We're not good at learning from history. There's, I study history, and there's been so many times where the correlations of the same thing happening over and over and over again because you don't recognise the signs.
Yeah.
And if you don't, in hindsight is a wonderful thing, but if you don't have that hindsight, you can't do what was necessary before after it's already happened.
Yeah.
So we won't do anything about climate change until we actually feel the impacts personally, and by then it's far too late.
And I know we discussed Trump a lot on this channel, but this is something which is absolutely shocking because Trump pulled out of the Paris Peace Accords.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
oh my God.
and the shocking thing is that there was one thing that was almost universally agreed by every single country.
There was only 3 countries or something?
There were 2 countries before Trump.
Now 3. Nicaragua,
who weren't party of the peace accords because of the fact that it wasn't far enough. It didn't go far enough to find a solution. And Syria is in a bloody civil war, so I don't blame them for not being a part of it. But America, being one of the leading nations, it's essentially a world leader. It's a part of the United Nations Security Council. Them pulling out, I think it's a rather stupid decision.
Oh, that's a bit of an understatement. But I mean, Trump is prone to stupid decisions. So, first, USA being such an important country, especially like all of the world looks to the USA for its actions. And if they are willing to say that they will not put any effort into climate change action, then it's easy for all other countries to say, well, the USA isn't doing it, then why should I bother?
Yeah.
So, especially because it's one of the highest polluters, it doesn't matter if Switzerland is doing everything it possibly can to reduce its emissions, USA has such a larger impact that it by itself could impact climate change. So the fact that it dropped out is leading the path for lots of other countries to drop out, and then this whole agreement that we came to is just going to collapse. And, well, disastrous for humanity and for Trump. But the problem is that he didn't even get that much slack for it. Like they supported his decision, and that itself means, like, the ignorance coming from the supporters of that is like,
at this point, I feel like all the Trump supporters are just supporting him for the hell of it. Like I don't even think that they realize what he's doing. It's just like a sheep following.
He's very good at that. Like, you saw his campaign. He never actually said anything. Everything that he said meant nothing. But he still managed to get votes because of the way he talks. Well, let's not go on to fallacies, but he just says things and people believe him.
Yeah.
No matter, he's running the most influential country in the world via Twitter.
Yeah, he still doesn't use a presidential account, he still uses his own personal account. Because it has influence on him. Yeah. Alright, this was a fun discussion with Jasmine, Halford, Molinaro.
Jasmine, Halford, Molinaro.
Yeah, same. Yeah, you get what I mean. And as always, like, share, and subscribe as on every single YouTube channel says nowadays, and we will see you guys next time. Alright, cool. Thank you.
We need to have like a thing.
Nah, he is apparently working on it for 2 weeks, but
What?
yeah, you told me you are.
What am I working on?
An end card something.
No, you need to have like a peace out, guys.
Oh, no.
How did you work on the anchor? I show you.
Really?
It was on the video.